And we're live, boys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome and thank you so much for joining us here on Rock the Tension. I'm Zach.
I'm TJ.
And I'm Robin.
And of course, you're listening to Rock the Tension.
I don't feel tardy.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Always good. Well, sad day for rock and roll.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I just realized that y'all are reversed on the screen, so hold that thought.
That's all good.
Well, it's hard to think when a music legend dies, right?
I know.
Absolutely. We definitely send all of our love to Eddie's family, friends, all of his fans. We're all hurting right now, and we send our love out to all of y'all.
It's definitely been a rough one, because, I mean, we had planned for not having voice cracks in the middle of this, like I just did, and but we'd planned for Christian, and we were excited for this, and then,
Sure.
This happened, and we all thoroughly agreed that this kind of took precedence. So we needed to talk about this, and I'm ruining this whole thing.
And for those of you, we will have Christian next week. Tonight we just wanted to dedicate solely to Eddie. So don't you worry, come on back.
I'll start this one off tonight because I've been, as soon as I heard that, it was just been nonstop Van Halen on my iTunes, just playing just playing everything, watching the videos, and kind of gearing up for tonight, and or I guess I should say gearing down, because usually we're definitely a lot more energetic, and tonight's just different.
I still got it in me tonight, man.
When you texted us, Robin, I was like, this guy doesn't lie about that.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, Robin, you're the one that I found out from. You were the first person that contacted me.
Well, I just got on Instagram, and a friend of mine just had a picture of Eddie Van Halen. I didn't even need to read the caption. Like, I just knew. I was like, No, not today. And yeah, I mean, this year's been one hell of a year. But we may have lost a legend, but his music is still here, and his influence is still here, and I don't think that's really ever going to go away. I mean, in the book of rock and roll, he's got many a chapter.
Of course. What's that line in the Sandlot? It's oh my lord! Something about legends never die, heroes live on. Oh lord, I'm gonna mess it up.
Why don't you look it up while I?
When Babe Ruth comes, have you seen the Sandlot?
Of course I have. I know what you're talking about.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
When Babe
Is
Ruth
it Heroes
comes,
Are Forever, Legends Never Die? Is that right? Is that wrong? Is that way off?
Yeah, we're gonna have to look that up.
I'm gonna look it up.
But,
I mean, it's such a.
I will start off with the very obvious, very stereotypical question. What was the first Van Halen you heard?
That's a great question. I don't know if I could tell you exactly, because I'd have to go back, but I think I started with Van Halen 1, like the original album.
Mm-hmm.
I probably heard some stuff growing up, but I think I got into that little phase, and I bought Van Halen 1, because my dad used to crank Ice Cream Man, and Ice Cream Man's a great song.
Yeah.
But, and I probably shouldn't have, but when I started playing guitar, I tried to learn Eruption. I still can't play it, but I have a little bit of the tapping down, so we're getting somewhere.
I got the line, guys.
Okay.
It's heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
So it's real funny. You mentioned, right as you brought it up, the someone in the comments goes, "Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you'll never go wrong." Like, he just posted the quote. So Todd, you win for tonight. That was
Absolutely.
great.
Thanks, Todd.
The in answer to your question, I think Eruption for me was the first thing that I heard from Van Halen. Because remember, guys, I grew up like I had to teach myself everything I know about rock and roll. I grew up in a country household. I grew up on like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Not that Stevie Ray Vaughan is country, but my folks listen to like country and bluegrass, and about the most rock and roll thing that we had in the house was Stevie Ray, and so I kind of had to teach myself about metal and rock, and so I remember when I started getting into the Guitar Heroes, in like 8th and 9th grade. I remember someone telling me about Van Halen, and so I'd probably say Eruption was the first thing that I heard.
So it's funny that you bring up Eruption, because I will never forget you playing Eruption at like a pep rally or something. There was a kid in front of me, and he just was sitting there. He's like, "What is this? Like, what's going on here, man? Like, this sounds like absolute crap." And I like lean forward and goes, "Dude, he's playing Eddie Van Halen's Eruption. Shut the hell up."
Well, thank you, Robin. I appreciate it.
And yeah, I think for me, so you'll hear me mention throughout this entire life of this podcast, I will repeatedly bring up my mother's record collection, because that's where I discovered a bunch of music. But the Van Halen album that I first heard was OU812. So yeah, that was the album that introduced me to Van Halen, and which is kind of an odd way to come into Van Halen, because you're listening to them in their later years, and it's definitely, in the terms of music, it's definitely a more mature sounding record. They still have fun on it, but it's not the same kind of, rambunctious teenage fun of Van Halen 1, 2, and on up. So, with the last one being 1985 with David Lee Roth. And so it was an interesting album to come in on, because when you go back and you listen to, I went back and listened to Van Halen 1 and 2, and I am blanking on their third album's title. But you listen to those, it's definitely, it's a younger, here's a younger Eddie who's just, working out everything, and it was an odd album to come in on, but it's still one of my favorite albums of all time.
Two things, Robin. One, did you say 1985 was their last album with David Lee Roth?
Yeah, wasn't
you mean 1984?
That's what I meant. Wow.
Something sounded off, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
I didn't either. I had to wait. And is it the third album? I could be wrong. Now I'm blanking, but I'm gonna.
It's Van Halen 1, 2, the album I can't remember, Diver Down, 1984, and those are the 5 David Lee Roth albums.
Is it Women and Children First?
Oh my gosh, am I like super embarrassing myself right now in the fact that I'm like blanking on albums? I probably am. But, well, don't wait for me. I'm gonna look this up, because now it's bugging me.
So it was what? Fair Warning, Women and Children First.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, there's 6 David Lee Roth's albums. I'm an idiot. Wow, I'm super embarrassed right now. It's Fair Warning is the one that I was blanking on the title of. All right, well, I'm gonna just shut my mouth for now, because that was embarrassing.
That's what you got me for. That's what you got me for. The little Van Halen music catalog. I will say, I got to tell you, I really got into Van Hagar. This is about 12 years ago. Got the DVD of
Live Without
a Net. Yeah, and it was like the greatest show on earth I'd ever seen. It was fantastic, and I watched that over and over. Like, because there used to be a Virgin Record store, and this has probably come up in the podcast, probably come up a million times more. But when I worked at Disney, the Virgin Record store was like the greatest thing ever. I got like White Lion for like $6, like original pressing CD.
Was that on the Disney premises, the record store?
It was, yeah. So at the time it was downtown Disney. Yep.
Wow.
So it was on yep. So take a little bus there or drive there, and like every Friday we picked out a concert DVD back when you had no money, so that was your paycheck.
Right on, dude.
Yeah, Live and On Without a Net. If you haven't seen it, it's a great
Great
live concert.
I don't think that anybody could play as amazing a bass solo as Michael Anthony does,
No.
as inebriated as he is.
No, absolutely not. Like, I don't even know if I could talk. He's just chugging Jack Daniels like none other.
All those guys were just...
And he's wearing a cape, which is pretty fitting for the bass solo.
Absolutely. I remember
A
watching...
cape makes everything better.
That's true.
Yeah, it does.
So Rob, where's your cape tonight?
I don't have one. I'm not cool enough to own a cape.
This kind of cape, bro.
I don't have it.
The Eddie Van Halen cape.
I'm not cool enough. I know. I actually I'm not really even dressed up for this at all. I'm just like, okay, here we go. We're doing this, and because it's been an odd day. Like you could just feel it. It's almost palpable.
Well, Robin,
I agree.
If you were a band right now, you'd be the Plain White Tees.
Thank you, TJ. I went on a run today, and I turned on my Pandora, and of course the first playlist that came on was the last thing I was listening to, which is Firehouse Radio. And the first song that popped on was Van Halen. So I thought that was a sign. You know,
song?
Eddie is with us.
How good is Love Walks In? Sorry, I saw it already. I saw it.
It's fantastic, man. It's all good. You know, I just got lost in it. You know, went on my run and took it all in.
Side note: how good is a run? You know, every once in a while, or every day.
I go every single day. How good is it? I love it.
Right.
It's
Fantastic.
probably my favorite part of the day. It's when I make a majority of my phone calls, and seriously, I've probably called both of y'all on my run.
Mm-hmm.
I
Out of
get
breath.
mad if people call my run. Like if I was on a walk, yeah, sure, let's get it done. That's what I'm doing. But a run, nah.
Well, dude, I might, stop to walk and talk to y'all for a minute. Nothing weird about that. It's nice to hear from your bros.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on cue tonight, aren't we, boys?
Yeah.
It's just an off day. Gosh, don't get down on yourselves.
No,
I'm not.
I don't. It's a weird day. It's definitely a transition day. I would say that one of the I don't know why this is like a funny memory for me, but VH1 used to have they used to play all these documentaries late at night on all this stuff, and one of the documentaries that they played was a Van Halen documentary, and it was it's not like a true documentary that was made by some filmmaker that was there and shooting all these things. It was like it's not a retrospective. It was like one of those like 30-45 minute documentaries that VH1 does, and they were talking specifically about that transition from David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar, and Sammy's talking about how he went to the studio to hear them, and they were in there jamming, and he's like, "Oh man, I don't know," because he was already he was very successful before joining Van Halen. He was in Montreux, and then he had his own thing, and so he joins and he calls his wife. He goes, "I don't know, they're still kind of young. I don't know if I want to go back into an act like that," and blah blah blah. And his wife's like, "Well, just give him a chance. Go in there and do that." And he walks back into the studio, and he hadn't walked into the live room yet, where they were all he'd done was go into the sound booth. So he gets into the live room, and as he opens the door, it's just pushing mounds of cans out of the way. Just beer cans just all over the floor. And
I'll take the gig.
yeah, he kind of goes in, and he's like looking at it, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know, man." And Alex is back there, I think, probably smoking either a cigarette or a joint, and Eddie's got a cigarette, and apparently Eddie just started playing this riff, and Mark just or Michael just kicks in, and Alex kicks in, and he just kind of goes, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna join this. Yes, I'm in."
Golly.
Oh, the '80s, man.
Can't imagine. I know, dude. I miss it every single day.
What do you mean you miss it?
I love that style. I wish it would come back.
Let's bring it back.
That's why you gotta listen to my bands I tell you about over in the Sweden and Finland and Norway.
Hey, I will say thank you that you have definitely introduced me to some new bands that I am definitely digging. So thank you.
Side note, is that an EVH behind you?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Good product placement too.
Well, thank you. That is my EVH 5153 and an EVH cab, and I will never ever sell either of them. They're, especially now, they're very special to me. And then hanging on the wall up there is a Kramer, because Eddie used to play a Kramer. Now he plays his line of guitars, but
The EVH.
the EVH gear, yeah.
I always wanted a Kramer. I just always loved them. I mean, granted, that was like the guitar in the '80s for a while, but
Sure.
still, like you could get like the hockey stick headstock.
Yeah,
You
dude.
could get like the banana headstock.
I'm a sucker for 80s guitars, BC Rich, Charvels, Jacksons. There's so many great ones. And even Strat. Strat did like a heavy metal Strat back in the day with Floyd Rose on it and a humbucker. They wanted to join the game with all of the 80s shredder guitars.
I know that Eddie, so like Eddie's guitar was, that Frankenstein guitar was really weird. Because it's
literally Frankenstein.
Yeah, he literally went to the Fender factory and was just going around and they wanted to build him a guitar. He was going there to have them build him a guitar, and they were telling him all these things, and he looks over and he sees like this pile of bodies, and he's just like, what about those? He goes, oh, those are rejects. They have like knots and stuff in them. He like goes and picks one up and goes, I'll just take this one. I'll just take this home. And that was like the beginning of the Frankenstein guitar. And
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
At least that's what I've heard.
I even heard like he was just like making like his humbuckers, like dipping them in wax and stuff just to get like a sound he wanted, just putting it all together. Like all that was like electrical tape and stuff to get the cool like design that he had. If rumor I know that. Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I wish Christian was here because he could definitely verify this stuff.
Well,
he's a massive Eddie fan.
I'm kind of glad he wasn't here, because I'm still embarrassed by the fact that I had completely forgotten Women and Children First.
Oh, that's all good, man. That 1985 album was great.
Shut up.
No, it's 1988, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I'm never gonna live that one down, nor should I. Yeah, no. But one of the other amazing things about that Frankenstein guitar. So, do you remember when the replica first came out?
Puberty.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez, I am just not winning tonight. But do you remember when the first replica of the Frankenstein came out, when Fender was going to do a replica launch or whatever, and you got the first one?
I really don't think it was Fender that did it, to be honest with you.
Not originally. It was a guy that did it. It was like one of the guys that worked at Fender.
But I do remember when they were doing an exact replica, and I want to say they were like 20 grand or something like that. They were really expensive.
The first one of those was pieced together from just pictures. That's all he had. He didn't actually get to see the real guitar. He did it all from pictures, and there's a video on the internet somewhere. I'll find it and link it. There's a video of the guy bringing the guitar to Eddie for the first time, and Eddie's just like, did you steal my guitar? Like, this looks just like it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, it's amazing what they can do with just pictures. I mean, even in the movies, you know, a lot of these shows from, you know, the 90s, 80s, whatever, you know, these remakes they're doing, and they're getting really close. Um, like rebuilding sets from pictures. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
What people can do.
Dude,
Anyway,
technology today.
Great story.
Good story, Hansel.
Also, side note, I was going to bring up a little bit ago. Can you guys verify this rumor? Do we know? Can anyone verify this? That Eddie Van Halen's original Bumblebee guitar is buried with Dimebag?
I thought the Bumblebee
idea.
guitar became the white, black, and red one. I thought he just like repainted it again.
I just know the rumor. It was like when Dimebag Darrell died, like he buried the guitar with him. But that was rumor that I heard. But you know, there's a lot of rumors out there. And this was off the top of my head. I didn't Google or research this earlier. And now
Well, I heard.
Well, let's look it up. We've got a Google machine.
If only we had a device that we could look this stuff up on.
Apparently, it is true. Apparently,
Because Google said.
well, no, like I'm
It's true.
pulling it up and I'm looking at it, yeah, apparently, yes, he buried his Bumblebee guitar with Dimebag. So I was wrong. I thought that he had painted that over again in red, black, and white.
You got a good batting average tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were drinking a Dr. Pepper. I was like, I didn't know you drank sodas.
Oh, Yingling.
Oh, my bad.
The oldest brewery,
Oldest
in the
brewery
United States.
in America.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I can't resist having a Yingling every time I'm in Florida. But apparently, I heard they're gonna like be almost nationwide now coming up. I think possibly I heard that somewhere. But Florida's like the place that I never see Yingling around. So then when I see it, I'm like, all right.
Hey, guys,
Yingling.
I just got a text from my sister. She said, yes, the guitar was buried with Dimebag. Eddie confirmed it in an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So that means my sister and brother-in-law Sean are watching. So thank you guys. I'm sure it was probably Sean who told Shannon that, or maybe not. Maybe Shannon did already know that. I don't know. But regardless, thank y'all for verifying.
So yeah, it was one of those things. When I first started to actually learn to play the electric guitar, I'm still don't consider myself a guitar player, and I probably never will.
I know the feeling.
You know, no, you don't. You are a guitar player, sir, through and through.
Well, thank you. It's the long hair, man.
But I remember trying to learn how to tap just by listening to what he was doing. And I couldn't really figure it out, and I still to this day can't really, like, I can fake it enough, but going back today especially and listening to his playing on, especially Van Halen 1 and 2, because that was where he was his most, in my opinion, his most energetic. Just all his guitar on those two albums were. It's just it changed the landscape of rock guitar.
It's crazy as they did those two albums like back to back really quick. Like it was really like, when you wait, you're like you expect like at least a year for a new album from somebody, or a year and a half, maybe two.
What are we calling
Quick. What was the time difference?
It was a couple months. It was not long. Like
Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah, dude, that's usually isn't a record. Excuse me, sorry. Isn't a record cycle like a year?
So
Typically.
it was a little over a year. It was February 10th, 1978 was Van Halen. March 23rd, 1979 was Van Halen 2. But that doesn't
Way to
mean
go, TJ.
well, that doesn't mean that they didn't. I will say this. I will say this. It doesn't mean that they hadn't had it recorded, within a year of releasing the first album.
Was it Fair Warning? Was that next? Or was that Women and Children First?
Women and Children First, the album I forgot.
Okay, so I was right earlier. Nice. All right.
So
And
and then,
what was it?
In 1985.
God. Can I get a do-over? Rewind.
Never.
But yeah, I mean, they turned out albums really fast, for some bands, especially in that day and age. I mean, the only person that I know off the top of my head who released an album within the same year was Springsteen. He did Born to Run and Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Well, he is the
boss.
boss.
In 1 year.
Hey, on a side note, there was a movie based on his music.
Who?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Springsteen?
Springsteen.
Yeah.
Came out like a year or two ago.
Was it called Blinded by the Light?
I don't know, but I'll
That
tell you
sounds like
what.
a Manfred Mann movie.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it though. So if you ain't seen it, go for it.
Okay. Well, if you say you enjoyed it, then it must be pretty good.
Yeah, I am pretty picky with movies, aren't I?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, one of my favorite music movies was that Yesterday. The
Okay.
Beatles one.
I guess I have to see this because you're the 8th person, and I've counted. You are the 8th person in the last 2 weeks who has said you need to see Yesterday. Yesterday
I'm
was a
glad
really
you
good movie.
counted. It's intense, dude. Yeah, and dude, like I saw it in one of those movie theaters where you lay backwards.
One of those. What is this? What is this lay
What?
back like? Why do you keep saying one of those? And what is a lay back movie theater like?
Oh, the reclining chairs?
Yes,
Oh, they're great.
thank you.
Oh, so it's not like when
Gosh.
you like see on the ceiling. You're like
No.
okay. I don't know why in my
No.
head when you said one of those where I laid
No,
back, I thought you were
This
like
isn't sixth grade at the IMAC
I was
theater.
gonna say, I don't think there's the only place that have IMAX or like with a globe around you are actually like museums and stuff. Like, come on.
Anyway, it's a fantastic movie. Both of them, but the Springsteen one and the. But speaking of like Beatles movies, I wasn't crazy about Across the Universe.
Neither was I.
It was a little too out there.
Yeah, it
You
got
know?
a little too weird. Apparently, hold on, Todd. Are you saying that Blinded by the Light is based on a true story? Answer that in the comments in a second,
Side note.
and we'll get there. We'll get back to
Side
that.
note, Zach, apparently your microphone's a little echoey. You sound good on my end, but I don't know if Robin, there's anything.
You sound fine on my end.
Who said it's echoey?
I can't tell you. I can't disclose that.
Okay.
Somebody watching them.
Right on. Well,
Gosh.
I don't understand why. So I guess the only thing to do right now would be to play some Van Halen.
I think so.
Love that song.
Robin, that was your cue for whoa yeah.
Well, if I had done it, I would have cut his guitar off. Remember?
You're
So I was
very
like, I
sweet,
almost
thank
did
you.
it. I almost did it. I was like, no, don't cut his guitar off. So that was I think that was the first song I put on, because Panama is of the David Lee Roth era. That's my favorite song.
Dude, it's so fun to play, man.
Oh yeah, and I've tried to learn it about 100 times and I still can't do it.
It's
Dude,
great.
I don't think anyone can play it. We just fake our way through it until we get to the end, you know?
Yeah, but I can't even fake it to a level where people are like, "Oh, that's cute." It's like I'll try and people will just come out and be like, "I'll just get a text from someone random and be like, just stop."
I hope everyone just listening was like, "Oh, that's cute." I hope that's what they said.
But is that not one of the greatest guitar riffs of all time?
Oh, dude, the intro's great. The
Nothing-
breakdown.
Yeah.
Also, okay, I'll rephrase that. Not even riff, but just guitar song. Like, it is. I mean, every section of that song to me is just flawless.
Absolutely, dude. There's a lot of cool chords in there. Like the walk up. I'm running, she's
You do love your walk-ups.
Yeah, man. Like the chords, like in slow motion. A lot of people don't realize. I'm not gonna call anybody out, but like I've seen a lot of cats not play that part right, and it really bugs me. Because Eddie like plays some really cool crap, But you hear that? That's all weird, like walk-up chords. What are those chords called? Come on, Theory Buff.
What do you mean theory buff? I'm a drummer.
Oh shit!
I picked drums to not learn theory.
I just love the walk-ups. Is all I'm getting at.
They sound like just yeah. I mean, he could be throwing in diminished susses, augmented. Yeah. I mean,
the point I'm trying to make is he's not just like your typical '80s shred master, just chugging 1/5 power chords. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of thought in what he's playing. I love that.
So little bit of trivia here, and I would expect you both to know this. Did you know that Eddie was originally wanting to be a drummer? Both Alex and Eddie are classically trained at the piano, but Eddie had bought a drum set, and Alex had a guitar. And so Eddie was learning the drums and Alex was learning the guitar, but Eddie had a newspaper route, and when he would go out on his newspaper route, Alex would sneak over to the drum set. And when Eddie finally found out about it, he goes, "Fine, you play the drums, I'll play the guitar." And they swapped. And,
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
And now we have had Van Halen.
And I heard too, this could be another random rumor. I'm only one for one tonight, so no worries. He just asked, I think Alex started going out and stuff. And he's like, "Nah, I'm good." And he just sat in his room with a 6-pack of Schlitz beer and just learned the guitar.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Because see, I've heard I've heard it both ways. I've heard it that Alex was the one that had the guitar and Eddie was the drummer, but Eddie kept going over and learning the guitar. He kept sneaking in and practicing on the guitar while Alex was out. But when I looked it up today, the story that I found repeatedly over and over again was Eddie had a newspaper route and Alex was the one sneaking over to practice the drums.
That's how I've heard it too. So I'm not in disagreement, but I cannot confirm nor deny.
Yes, it is a Yingling that I am sipping on. For those of you who noticed, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
there's your Yingling plug. Can I get my Celsius plug for the night? Celsius.
Yeah.
Please sponsor me, and Yingling, please sponsor us all.
Yeah, traditional lager. Zach, you are the guitar player of this merry trio.
Who, me?
Yes. What is your and I don't know how extensive your knowledge is of all things Eddie Van Halen, but I'll ask you the question. What's your favorite riff of his? Do you have a favorite riff?
Hands down. I love I can't wait to feel your love tonight. That's my favorite riff.
Okay.
And Michael Anthony's backing vocals, man. They
Dude.
just make that, David Lee Roth's great, but if it's not for that Michael Anthony in the background,
I have a question that y'all probably know the answer to. Actually, my pops asked me tonight. I was like, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Did Eddie sing?
Yes. He didn't sing lead, but he sang backup. And that's what made...
Well, I figured he sang backup, but was he known for being a great singer?
Not that I know of. He was known as a guitar player, but yeah, he did sing.
Really?
Well, obviously he was good. Yes, obviously he was known as a guitar player, but no, I think that's it. He was the primary songwriter in Van Halen, so he probably wrote a lot of the melodies and lyrics in there. But as for being a singer, I don't. No, not that I know of. But but that signature Van Halen sound, that vocal sound that he and Michael Anthony had together, you just, oh God, it's one of the best.
Right
on.
Well, so I want to elaborate. First of all, I just love the way this song makes me feel. It's the one I just played. Feel Your Love Tonight.
Yeah.
And it's got just a great groove to it, and it makes you want to dance, makes you happy hearing it. I'm all about groove. You know, as I get older, I seem to get away from the shreddy stuff, and I'm more into the groove and the feel, you know? And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love shred. It's awesome, but I don't know. I've been laying some solos down the last couple of weeks, and I seem to want to play less and less notes. You know what I mean?
That's funny because I'm actually tomorrow I'm going in and I'm recording a new single, and I was working out the guitar solo. Well, it's a written out solo, so it's not really. It's just more of a section. But I was working out the solo, and I'm sitting there going, man, I think I need to throw another note in there somewhere. It feels like it's too spaced out. So I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm trying to add more notes in.
All the notes.
No, I don't want all the notes, but I want it to feel good. I don't want it to be, you know.
Right on.
I'm going to have to definitely take Eddie out of my head when writing that, because with him, it's like, I want to put more and try to do this kind of stuff, and the song doesn't need it.
Well, so I want to tell an Eddie story. So, if that's all right with y'all?
No.
Not deal.
Okay, do you remember the story I told y'all about the night that CC DeVille's guitar tech saw me in Vegas?
Yep.
Nope, wasn't listening.
Anyway, he also toured with Van Halen, and so I got to talk to him about, you know, working with Eddie. And something that I thought was really cool that Eddie did was on his. So this is his line, EVH. That's his EVH gear. That's his line of equipment. He doesn't play what he's. Let me reword that. He will only play what he sells, meaning a lot of guys will have their signature line, and they'll have their tech do a bunch of tweaks and whatnot to make it, you know, special or whatnot. Eddie plays bone stock EVHs right out of the box, you know, and I thought that was really cool. You know, he I don't know. There's something really neat about everyone being able to go and get his sound, you know, and then if you would change something on the amp, they'd release a new amp. You know, that's where they came out with the Stealth. Do you remember that? You used to work in a music store? No? Okay.
We never carried the, I mean, we could get the EV stuff at the music store that I worked at, but we never carried it in stock. We only special ordered it.
Okay, right on.
So,
well, I don't know. I think there's something really cool about him playing his products.
Yeah.
You know? Because I know a lot of, I'm not going to name any names, but I know many guitar players that have signature lines of stuff, and they don't use it.
I think that's always weird. Like, why would you make a signature line? Why would you go in, spend all this time, and in some cases money, to design and build a signature piece of equipment and then not use it? Or take it and, like, modify it. Well, I get it. I get the money part, but I don't know. To me, it seems like a waste of time.
Well, I don't know. I
false
feel like
advertising.
Eddie could play whatever he wants. I mean,
Yeah.
he could have any amp, any guitar tech, any amp tech, anybody to build him whatever he wants, but he uses his bone stock amps that you and I can go buy from Guitar Center. You know what I mean? And I respect that.
That's like Charlie Watts from Rolling Stones. When he buys cymbals, what he does is he'll reach out to a representative at the company, and he'll say, "I want to try these cymbals," and they'll send him a bunch of stuff. But he is not endorsed, as far as I know. He is not endorsed by any cymbal company. He buys each cymbal for full price from the company because he just wants to support the company, and that way he can play whatever cymbals he wants to play. He's not stuck to one brand.
I respect that.
Yeah, there's a big.
I'm not going to say who, but I do know a bigger guitar player who does that same thing. He's gotten offered many signature models, many endorsements, but he doesn't take them because he just wants to play what he loves. He may love this brand in acoustics, that brand in single coil guitars, that brand in humbuckers, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
He just plays what he loves, and I really respect that.
Yeah, I remember working with a guitar player who got an endorsement, and he was like, "Kid, don't ever get one." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because there's always contractual things when you get on stage." When I get on stage for 70% of the night, I have to play their guitar. That was the contract. And he's like, "It's great for about 4 or 5 songs, but after that, I just want to play my guitar again." And so,
well, that's why you go with a company that you really support and love their products and want to play all their stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed with Schecter.
Yeah, Fender, if you wanna talk, call me.
At Robin Mordecai.
Yeah, just tweet me, call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Okay, no more.
Okay, yeah, penalty box, yeah.
Alright,
That
is not approved. Alright, so back to...
You really made Eddie Van Halen proud right there.
I don't even...
Sorry, that was your penalty box time.
Yeah,
so here's one another like palm to the forehead moment for me. For years, I could have sworn that that song was on Diver Down. I could have sworn for years that it was. And when I bought the album a few years ago, and I finally listened to like the whole thing. I'd listened to it years ago, but I finally listened to the whole thing, and I'm going, wait, where's he really got me?
And you thinking of Pretty Woman?
I'm thinking of Oh Pretty Woman, and but yeah, so I was like, it was one of those like Mandela effect moments where I could have sworn that song was on Diver Down.
Because that's Van Halen 1, right?
Yeah, that's on the very first Van Halen. I thought they had put it back again on Diver Down. I knew it was on Van Halen 1, but I thought it was on Diver Down as well. And I was wrong.
Well, who knew I would be teaching the Van Halen 101 class to Robin tonight?
Clearly. It's just mucho embarrassing.
Awkward silence. Pause, and we're back.
I was gonna let it sit as long as it could go.
I was gonna say, Zach. Speaking of slowing it down a little bit, "Dance the Night Away." You said, what am I thinking of? "Want to make you dance." Can't wait to feel your love tonight. Feel your love tonight.
Yes.
But "Dance the Night Away." How does that song not make you want to dance?
I was thinking that earlier.
I just love that little intro and just the little tapping Eddie has with the little harmonics. It's quite lovely.
I was just listening to that earlier today. No, it's all good, man. Everything's good. I just shot you all the text.
Wait, what? Why'd you shoot us a text in the middle of the show?
Sorry.
Come on, bro.
It's from my sister.
I was going to bring up one earlier. So, it's not that he has... Well, a lot of his solos don't make sense. But "Jump" is like the weirdest solo ever, but it works for whatever reason.
Dude.
Like,
That's
it
one of my
makes
favorite
no
ones
sense.
to play.
It makes no sense, but it's awesome.
Dude.
Well, give us a taste then, bro.
Yeah, if you can claim you play it, do it.
Oh, I haven't played it in years, but
Prove it.
Prove it.
there's a really cool.
Well, while you sit there and figure that out, we can talk about Eddie's versatility just as a musician in general. I mean, he could play all the main instruments in a rock band: drums, bass, guitar, keys, as we saw. And when was the first album that he really brought in synthesizers? Was that 1984 or was that?
I really feel like it was. I think it was. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I've been wrong before, but 84 was the big.
Yeah, I mean that had
synthesizer.
Jump on it, and
the follow-up was 5150 with Sammy, and I think that's pretty much why David Lee Roth wanted to leave, because he wanted to stay more just that rock without like the synthesizers and stuff. And then Sammy's like, I'm on board, because they had like Love Walks In, more keys.
I love synth, and I think that's the best part of the 80s.
oh man,
that's so good.
I mean the synth work that he does on OU812 is just fantastic. But yeah, I mean when he stepped it up with 5150. 5150 and OU812 are still my favorite Van Halen albums.
Van Hagar albums.
Van Halen.
I just can't resist the Joe Dirt. It's Van Halen, not Van Hagar. But I do love all those albums. Like people get on that bandwagon, whatever. It was still mostly Van Halen, but now you're really not going to be able to soldier on Van Halen if David Lee Roth or Sammy wanted to get Michael Anthony and stuff together. Like there'll never be another tour, I don't think. And if there was, I feel like it'd be disrespectful.
Well, I think there's going to be a tribute show at some point. They're going to do a tribute thing, and they're going to have all those guys there. It's, I mean, I will say this, because I know Wolfgang plays guitar. I don't know how well he plays guitar, but I know he plays guitar. So if he was to take the guitar seat and Michael Anthony came back to do the bass, I would consider that okay.
Fair enough.
But I
At
don't
least
know how
it's
well
the same bloodline.
Yeah, I don't know how well he plays guitar though.
You know, I think obviously they've got to let some time
Oh, of course.
heal. Okay, no time soon. But I think they could take the route like what they did for Randy Rhoads, and every year they have this thing called Randy Rhoads Remembered, and they get the band up there, and they bring in like every song there's a guest guitar player, but they use big name guitar players. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they could do like a tribute to Eddie, where the band is up there, and then you have Paul Gilbert get up and do one. You have Nuno Bettencourt get up and do one. Yada yada yada. Have all the greats up there. I think something like that would work. Absolutely, Russ
Steve
Parrish.
Yeah.
But I don't. Oh Lord, man, I you don't replace Eddie. You don't.
No.
I don't care if you got the best impersonator or best tribute artist in the world. Like you don't replace him. You don't.
No chance whatsoever. Like obviously you get away with replacing Roth, and I mean it didn't really work out with Gary Cherone, but you still have Eddie's guitar playing. Like there's just certain things.
Yeah. Interesting little tidbit. I was looking at the Wikipedia and looking up stuff about 1984, trying to figure out if that was the first album to truly have synthesizers on it, or if they had it before this album. And I stumbled across a fact I didn't know. "I'll Wait," one of the two was one of the first two singles from
1985 album.
1984. But "I'll Wait" was has Michael McDonald listed as a co-writer, which is
Old
just
McDonald.
really weird to think about, that Michael McDonald co-wrote a Van Halen song.
Who, if you didn't know, that is Ronald McDonald's brother of McDonald's franchise.
Yep.
Fame.
Yep. You got it. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting little tidbit to come up with. So, yeah, there's that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Robin, you should carry the rest of the show. You've got some stories, let me tell you.
Got some stories? What do you mean stories? I'm just looking up stuff on the internet.
Okay, did we even touch that he played the solo in Beat It?
I was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
I mean, I love that solo.
Have you ever seen the video of him playing it live with Michael Jackson?
I haven't.
I have not either.
Cue video switcher.
I wish.
Yes.
I wish I could. But yeah, there's a video of him playing it. It can be there's years that I've gone to look for it and it's been insanely difficult to find, and then there's years where you just type it in like Michael Jackson, Eddie Van Halen Beat It live, and it just pops right up. So
I mean, how good do you have to be to go in the studio, do a solo for free, and be like, well, I'll be out in no time because we're just going to do it in one take, and then do it in one take, and see you later.
Yeah.
Like,
One
that's
take Eddie.
unreal.
I've heard so many different stories about what the noise is before. Some people say it's the producer knocking on the window saying, hey, this is where you come in. Some people say it's him knocking on the back of his guitar. Some people say it's knocking on the pickup. I've heard that dang story told 4 or 5 different times. I don't know which one it is. But
For a second, it took me a little bit to think about it, but now it's in my head. I can picture that exact sound. I had no idea that was a thing.
Oh, dude, I at least have heard 4 different variations of that story.
Well,
So if anyone knows the true story,
apparently Eddie thought it was a prank call when he was called to do the solo. when the producer called him to do the solo, Quincy Jones called him to do the solo, he thought it was a prank call.
see, and I also heard that he didn't know who Michael Jackson was when he did the solo. I've heard that story. That he was supposedly he didn't listen to much pop music, and he didn't. Again, this is just different variations of these stories that I've heard.
Well, and you got to think it wasn't like it is now, where you could like text somebody or put it on Facebook or Instagram and be like, "Oh, I know that guy." Like
Well, he
it
couldn't
was literally...
page all of his friends, like respond 1 for yes, 2 for no. But you know the sound I'm talking about. See, I think he's just hitting his guitar strings. You know.
It does sound like that.
Here's what it sounds like if you knock on the front of the guitar. And here's what it sounds like if you knock on the back. So they sound pretty similar, but I'm just hearing... That's what I think he's doing, because I don't think you would have heard the knock on the window. But anyway.
There's 2
Think what y'all
versions.
want.
There's 2 versions of the solo recorded. So, right before Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo begins, a noise is heard that sounds like somebody knocking at a door. It is reported that the knock was a person walking into Eddie's recording studio. Another story has claimed that the story was simply the musician knocking on his own guitar. The sound, however, is that of Jackson knocking on a drum case, as he is credited in the album liner notes.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It could also just be like an inside joke between them. I'm gonna stick with it's him hitting his guitar strings.
The engineers were shocked during the recording of Van Halen's solo to discover that the sound of his guitar had caused the monitor speaker in the control room to catch fire.
What?
Causing one of them to exclaim, "This must be really good."
Dude.
Way to look at the positives.
That's awesome.
Oh man,
Dude, your solo set my sound system on fire.
that is amazing.
I'm not even mad.
But no, it's not him. It's not him knocking on his pickup. It's Jackson knocking on a drum case.
Dude, think what you want, man.
It's credited in the album liner notes.
Dude, it could be an inside joke that they say. I don't.
Yeah, it literally says in the album liner notes, Michael Jackson, lead vocals, background vocals, drum case beater.
Wow. What a credit. I want that credit on an album one day. Just that's it.
Drum
Just
case
right
beer?
at the bottom. Yep.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Well,
All right, new goal in life: catch the studio speaker on fire from playing a solo.
Hey, maybe that's tomorrow, Robin.
Hey, probably not gonna happen tomorrow. I hope it doesn't happen tomorrow because
Okay, well, with that attitude, no, it won't.
yeah, dude, have a better attitude.
maybe. Another thing I want to say: if you want to talk about innovation of playing guitar, using a power drill on a guitar.
Totally.
The intro to Pound Cake.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And if you ever saw him do it live, he has a drill that's colored. It's painted and colored just like his guitar.
Or how about Cathedral with all the knobs and stuff? Just like
Be right back.
fade in and fade out. What's he doing?
I don't know what he's
What's
doing.
he doing?
Where are you
He's
going,
not-
Zachy?
He left this podcast.
Oh wow, he
Oh.
actually logged
Left the
out.
podcast.
What is happening? This better be good, Zach. This better be good. But yeah, I don't know. That guy just did so many things to change. What was that all about?
What's that?
What was that all about?
You gave me an idea.
I gave you an
I
idea.
like ideas.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to turn the camera off?
I don't know. Felt right. Dude. I don't have a drill, but I have a razor.
Oh god, if you break your string, I'm gonna laugh.
Okay. The drill is much cooler.
You didn't catch any of your hair, did you? That'd be just tragic all around.
That sounded
cool.
like a drill there for a second. Yeah, that sounds like a power drill, but not as good as.
But it should
Van
be.
Halen's. Yeah.
That's
Well,
what's so cool about it.
If you have one of those old ones that he had, which was like you had to plug it in. I mean, that's like an industrial drill, so it goes and it like powers up and down. But the one that I have, it goes and it just stops. Like it doesn't do that. So.
Dude, a band I played in high school, we did a bit with I didn't have a drill, so I used an electronic toothbrush. It was okay.
Nice.
The only other person that I knew who used a power drill in a song was Paul Gilbert in Mr. Big's. I don't remember the name of the song, but he did it different. Whereas Van Halen or Eddie took a power drill and just ran the drill bit against the guitar. Paul Gilbert actually put picks on the drill, and so Eddie would take the power drill and do it this way. Like he'd be over the guitar and he'd just hold it like this. Paul had to hold it out like this because it spun around and yeah.
Yeah.
So different ways to use power drills on electric guitar.
Not a power drill, but Steve Stevens. I wonder if he got influenced by Eddie with that, using the little like toy ray gun you'd buy at the store for the Rebel Yell solo.
Oh, nice.
So that sound you're hearing in the solo is literally just a ray gun right against its pickups.
Interesting.
Dude, I'm gonna have to go re-listen to that because I cannot hear what you're talking about right now. I'm not hearing.
Once you hear it, though, you'd be like, "Wow, no, there's no humming a ray gun sound," but like, I mean, I'd be like Michael Winslow from. Is it Michael Winslow in like Spaceballs? Oh, the sound effects guy from the '80s.
I think so.
Wait, isn't that from that movie Cops? No.
Yes.
Yeah, he's from
Police Academy
too.
Police Academy.
Is it Michael Winslow? Not Michael Winslow. Who am I thinking of?
Yes.
Am I close?
Yes. No, it's Michael Winslow.
Boom. Okay.
Boom. You did it. You got it. Man,
Not be
you
confused.
are on fire tonight.
I try. I hope I don't set my computer on fire with how good this is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Rebel Yell solo.
No, wrong song.
No.
That's White Wedding.
Yeah, I've got I've got the Beat It solo stuck in my head now. That's about it.
Yeah.
Dude, Eddie is the man.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you come up with that stuff? You know, like all the chimes and whatnot he does. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, y'all can probably verify this. I don't believe he's a big Theory buff.
I don't think so either, but I could be mistaken. I've never dug
Is he
that
self-taught?
deep. But self-taught, no lessons. Wedding singer.
Yeah, I don't know. No. If he's classically trained at the piano, he does know.
But self-taught. Wait a minute. Okay, see, I was always taught that he wasn't a big Theory buff.
I don't think
So
he's a
he
theory,
is.
I don't think he's a Theory buff, but he. Eddie revealed in a. Oh wow, he's not able to read music, but
Boom.
but he did. He did learn. He learned from watching and listening. So, for example, during recitals of Bach and Mozart, he would improvise. Jeez.
Dude, that's like improvising at a jazz gig. Like, you just don't do that.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Really?
Listen
he did.
to
What?
Bach
No,
and Mozart, and then he plays a Beat It solo.
You're supposed to improvise at a jazz gig.
But like a rocker doesn't improvise at a jazz gig. We all know pentatonic does not work over.
Oh no, you
Jazz.
can't do that. But
I learned that really quickly. But so, what did Eddie play at these Bach gigs?
from 1964. From 1964 to 1967, he won first place in the annual piano competition held in Long Beach, California, or Long Beach City College.
The more you know. Would have never guessed.
But
That sounded Bach-esque, so that's why I thought I should play it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
thanks. Yeah, the brothers started playing piano as children, starting at age 6. So.
It's a little late.
What? That's when I started learning.
It was a joke. Jeez,
Oh.
come on, Robin.
I know some people who who start learning at like 3. It's kind of ridiculous. So,
I was playing video games at 2. That, hand-eye coordination.
yeah, I mean, I didn't have video games in my house till I was older. It's probably 9 or 10. So,
You poor thing.
I know I was deprived as a child. All I had was a great sound system and a terrific vinyl record collection. That was it.
Could be worse.
Yeah. Well, boys, I'm gonna need a glass of whiskey here, pretty soon.
Yeah,
So
probably in about 6 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
So I think we are slowly coming to an end. But what are our, I don't want to call them final thoughts on Eddie Van Halen, but just what are you just your thoughts? I mean, a legend has left the building and joined the great gig in the sky. So,
Man, on that note, think of how much talent's up there within even just the last couple of years. Like, that's one big jam session.
yeah. That's an intimidating jam session to go to
Yeah?
for anybody.
Wow.
But yeah, it's I think he's in good company, definitely.
Yeah, well, I mean, he influenced everybody. And one of my favorite guitarists, too, and why I started playing guitar, and believe it or not, it wasn't because of Eddie. It was because of when I heard Vito Bratta's guitar tone, and he was basically just Eddie copycat with his own sound and, variations, of course, but, he definitely influenced by Eddie. And if it wasn't for Eddie, there's probably no Vito Bratta, or at least not the same Vito Bratta.
Mm-mm. I would say that 80s rock and roll would not have been what it was without Eddie Van Halen. I'd make that bold statement.
I'll agree with that.
I'll third that. Especially,
I feel like...
Go ahead, Zach.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say every one of my heroes credits Eddie Van Halen. Every single one of them mentions Eddie Van Halen. So that's all I was gonna say.
I mean, the oh man, who was I reading? I was reading someone like a very famous guitar player, and he was saying that, you know, he's a contemporary of Eddie's, but he was saying that you know, especially in LA when they were coming up, when they were known as a band called Mammoth.
Yeah, that's right.
And little side note about Mammoth, I dated a girl in high school whose mother grew up in Pasadena, California, and has distinct memories of Mammoth sleeping on her couch.
I didn't know where you were going with
I didn't
that.
either. And
I was
Zach,
like,
I think we're on the same page.
But no, like,
gonna be like, speaking of Mammoth,
I remember pulling up to their house one day and listening to Van Halen, and she's like, you know, back when they were called Mammoth, she's like, they used to come and crash at our house after, you know, their gigs and whatnot. I was like, really? That's kind of random.
Is that the extent of the story?
Yeah,
or
that's a little side note about Mammoth. But they changed the name apparently to Van Halen because David Lee Roth thought that it was way better sounding, and thought it would get them more noticed. But back to the interview that I was reading with this guy, he's talking about how, like, you know, you're around LA from, you know, the mid 70s, but when Van Halen 1 came out, you're listening to the album and you're like, rock guitar is different. Like, from this point forward, rock guitar is not the same. And
yeah,
I mean, to be able to do that, to change the face of rock and roll, not just over a whole career, but with one album, and not just an album, your debut album as a band. You've changed the landscape of it. Like, it's different.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good, like, classic rock before that, and nothing wrong with it, but it changed. Like, it got heavier, and, you know, people just kept taking off that. So I don't know. Side note, before I forget, if I didn't mention before, I'm pretty sure, I mean, granted, the Cowboys probably started it, but Eddie pretty much started the bandana around the neck and made it look cool, if you ask me.
Well, thank you.
And,
Did you?
I was going to say, and I've never seen someone look so good in a pair of suspenders and pull it off on stage.
Agreed.
Like Eddie.
Dude, did you know that Michael Starr from Steel Panther sang in a cover band called the Atomic Punks?
I did know that, yeah.
Which is a Van Halen tribute
really?
band. Yeah.
Then I may have seen him when I was living in California.
Well, this was many years ago. I think there's a new singer now.
Oh, okay. Because I saw the Atomic Punks when I was living in LA, and they were really good.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway.
All right, that's a cool little tidbit.
You know, I want to read. They said something. Steel Panther posted about Eddie today, and I thought that it was really well put.
I saw it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I haven't commented on it because I was like, well said, guys. Words like genius, legend, and pioneer get thrown around way too often, but Eddie Van Halen earned every single one of them. And I could not agree more. Genius, legend, and pioneer.
Yep.
We all in agreement on that?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Stamp of approval.
Absolutely. I send my love and support to all the family and friends. Stay strong and keep rocking, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week with Christian Brady. TJ?
Thank y'all. Love you guys. Keep listening. Hope you're not too bored of us yet. Hopefully we keep getting more and more entertaining. Robin?
All right, guys. We're out. I'm going to risk copyright here and play some Panama for you. So, if we get shut down, you know why. See y'all later.